You know what I've noticed over the years is that people can become very group oriented, and that's even true in the church as well. I'm just saying, our church, but just in the church in a broad sense. If somebody is with us and part of our group, hey, that's great. But if they're kind of, outside of our clique, outside of our group, outside of our denomination, outside of our whatever it might be, then I don't know about them. And that's just common with mankind. That's part of our nature. That even happened back in the Old Testament. If you remember back from Numbers chapter 11, I'm sure you remember it really well. But Numbers chapter 11, there was a time when, the responsibility that Moses had was just very overwhelming, and God knew that. So God wanted to appoint 70 elders to help Moses in the leadership of the people. And so God said, let these 70 men come to the tent of meeting, and I'm going to take some of my spirit and place it on them. And then with the tent of meeting, they were able to prophesy in the Lord's name. But what happened is part of those 70, two of them, so there's really only 68 there, but two of them stayed back in the camp. And as these 68 were able to prophesy, these other two were able to prophesy as well. And so someone from back in the camp ran up to Moses and reported it, and then Joshua said, let's stop these other two because they didn't really know what was going on. And Moses says this, "Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit on them." That is, these two others, Moses wasn't jealous concerning them. Even Joshua, he was not supposed to be jealous because Moses wasn't getting all of the praise and all of the recognition for being a prophet of God. Moses was like, no, I wish that all of us will be able to do these things for God. Jesus kind of said the same thing as well. We see here in Mark 9:38, and this is with the disciples and with Jesus here in Mark 9:38. It says, John said to him, "Teacher, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he was not following us, our 12. But Jesus said, do not stop him, for no one who does a mighty work in my name will be able to soon afterward to speak evil of me. For the one who is not against us is what? Is for us. For truly I say to you, whoever gives you a cup of water to drink because you belong to Christ will by no means lose his reward." Isn't that refreshing? Even if somebody is not part of our group, part of our inner clique, whatever it might be, part of our church, and they are doing a great thing for God, we should not be jealous of them. We should not stop them. Actually, we should encourage that. Because those who are for Christ aren't against us. They're doing all for the glory of God. And that takes an attitude of humility. That takes an attitude of counting others more significant than yourselves, as Paul said in Philippians chapter 2. Actually, Paul said this in Philippians chapter 1, which kind of takes us a step further. He said this in Philippians chapter 1 and in verse 15. He says, "Some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, but others from goodwill. The latter do it out of love, knowing that I am put here, that is in prison, for the defense of the gospel. The former proclaim Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, but thinking to afflict me in my imprisonment." So what am I supposed to think about this? Well, he says this in verse 18. "What then? Only that in every way, Even if someone is doing ministry out of envy and jealousy, trying to bring you down with the wrong motivation, but at least they have the message right. What then? Again, only that in any and every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed. And in that I rejoice, and yes, I will rejoice. So even if someone is doing ministry, trying to do it with, a wrong motivation, trying to bring you down in that ministry endeavor, hey, if they're getting the message out there, people are being saved and sanctified, we could still rejoice because God can still use that messenger, that person doing ministry for his glory and for his purposes. And in that, we can rejoice. Thank you for joining me.